Hi guys, hope you're well. It's Sunday evening. It is tonight. What we're going to be doing is literally talking about how to find motivated sellers and why I believe that this is the best possible opportunity for you to get started in property. Now, first of all, one thing I would like to say is if you can hear me nice and loudly and clearly, brilliant. Please ask as many questions. Just let me know that you can hear me nice and loudly and clearly. That'd be great. Okay. So, Matilda says, first of all, that's a lovely way to start a session. Hello, thank you for giving us this opportunity. Thank you for being here. So, everyone says that they can hear me nice and loudly, clearly. Okay, we've got Ranjit. Hi, Ranjit, how are you? From the Property Investor News, right? Okay, brilliant. So, everyone is saying that the sound is good. Right, we're good to go. So, tonight's session, very simply, how to find motivated sellers. Now, it's going to be an interesting session because we're going to be looking at all the different marketing tactics that you should be looking at, how you should implement it, what you should be saying, how you should be framing it, but more importantly, how you should be monetizing it. So if you're in the right place, please give us a thumbs up. If you're on Facebook and Instagram, if you're on the webinar, give us a quick yes, and let's get moving forward. I'm going to start by saying thank you so much for trusting me with your time this evening. I always put that on every session, and the reason why I say that is because there's so many things that you could be doing. It's a lovely, I'm just looking out my window, it's a lovely sunny Sunday evening, and there's lots of things that you could be doing. I've spent the day out in the garden with the kids, and we've been doing some gardening. I've become a bit of a person with a green thumb recently, and I'm actually quite enjoying it. So I've been out in the garden all afternoon, and it's been really enjoyable to do. So I want to say thank you for spending this evening with me. So what we're going to be looking at over the next 90 minutes, I've got a packed load of content. So first of all, we're going to be looking at how to find vendors direct and negotiate the best deal. Second of all, we're going to be looking at how to make cash flow from simply controlling properties. Control is a big word tonight. And finally, we're going to be looking at how to get started in property with no money and no experience. So we've got three massive claims there. And, you know, I'm not apologetic about that. I don't apologize for that. And the reason why I say that is because we're in a phenomenal opportunity right now. And I say right now, I called at the start of this year that 2020 was going to be the year of opportunity. I didn't know about the coronavirus, so I'm not Mystic Meg. So I didn't know that we were going to come across COVID-19 and all that kind of stuff. But what I did know is that this year was going to be full of opportunity. And boy, have we got a year of opportunity ahead of us. If you hadn't started to make headway in 2020, this is definitely almost like a restart of the year. Sounds really strange that we're going to say that when we're in the middle of May, but this is the start of the new opportunity. And I say that is because Monday, the 18th of May is going to be a phenomenal start. The reason being is that lots of estate agents have now started to get back in the office. Now, when I say that is because earlier last week, and I'm just trying to think of my dates here, it was, I think it was the 14th or 15th of May. That the government says that it's okay for estate agents and letting agents to start going back to work. Now, I instantly, I think it was on May the 15th, Friday, May the 15th, I was in the office and my phone was non-stop. It was non-stop, and I thought, wow, okay, we're going to see something special here. And I'm going to share some of these tips with you this evening. So why should you be listening to me? Well, first of all, I'm the founder of the UK's first property investment marketplace app called The Property Investor. Sorry, it's called Property Investor. So if you haven't already got it, please spend a minute now, literally just to find it in the App Store. If you've got a mobile phone in your hand, go to the App Store, type in Property Investor, and you'll see the app right there. It's the UK's first property investment platform. And I did this literally to create a marketplace for us to sell deals on. And it's done phenomenally well. We've been launched over just over a year. We've got the best part 15,000 people that downloaded the app. So there we go. We can see a marketplace there straight away. So I'm quite an innovator when it comes to property. First and foremost, should I say, I'm a property investor. I'm a deal sourcer. when I say I'm a property investor, I'm not one of these people that has been on a course last week and now trying to sell you a course or trying to show you how to do it. I've got the scars. I've been doing this nearly 20 years. And the reason why I say that is because I've got lots of properties. I own properties where we've got approximately 1,100 tenants in. So I've seen and I've got all the experience showing you what to do, how to do, and what not to do. I'm also one of the UK's leading deal traders, and I say that because there's lots of deal sources out there, and I see lots of deals every. You've got to say that I see approximately 20 deals a day. And these are deals that either I've sourced myself, or these are deals that some of my mentees have sourced, or some of these are deals that are random people that contact me and say, oh, okay, can we have a quick look at this? And I can predominantly say that 80% of the stuff that I see, I kind of turned away. I said, you know what, not a deal, not a deal, not a deal. So it's pretty much a bit like being a dragon, a property dragon. Like in Dragon's Den, I'm almost like a property dragon. I don't like calling myself a dragon, I like calling myself a property magnet. And the reason why I say that is because I attract opportunities. And this is where you want to be. You want to be in a position where you attract opportunities. I'm a I'm a monthly columnist, feature writer in two very well-known magazines. So that's your YPN, Your Property Network, and the HMO magazine. I talk at events all over the country, and then I'm also glad to announce that I launched a podcast whilst we're in lockdown called The Property Rebel. If you haven't listened to it already, please go to iTunes, search for The Property Rebel, go to Spotify, search for Property Rebel, and also go to Stitcher and Google Podcasts and search for Property Rebel. We hit number 6 in all podcasts in the UK. That's a phenomenal achievement. I'm really pleased that we did that. I can go on to say that I'm #1 bestseller of an Amazon bestseller called Boom, Bust and Back Again. As the title suggests, property's never always been an easy journey. I've seen some good times, I've seen some bad times, and I'm back to tell the tale. That's one thing that many people can't do in property. How many recessions have they been through? Now, this is my second recession that I'm going through. And I'm actually enjoying it because I'm learning about myself, I'm learning about my business, I'm seeing what we're sustainable in, where we need room, where there's room for improvement. And so we've got I've got so much experience to share with you. So there's a couple of questions coming in. So Matilda says, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. She goes, how did you get started? Did you pay for courses or you self-taught? Well, just so that you know, when I started in the year 2000, there were no courses. I'm fully self-taught. I've learned the lesson of life. Okay, so Matilda says, do you have someone that edits my podcast? Yes, her name's Fran. She's my PA. She didn't know how to edit them up until about a month ago, but yes, she does. And then I'm a property trader who helps hundreds of people achieve financial freedom. If you haven't got a podcast and you're looking for someone to edit, don't ask Fran because she's busy with all the stuff that I'm doing, but you can go onto places like Fiverr and find someone that will edit it for you pretty much week in, week out. So get straight into it. What's your goals for 2020? In January, you would have set some goals. Now, believe it or not, those goals, depending on what they are, whether they're personal goals or business goals, but chances are the business goals are completely obsolete. And the reason why I say that is because no one could predict what goes on and what was going to happen in 2020. So are you now looking for cash flow? Are you looking to build cash flow? So I suppose the question that I've got to ask, and if you're on any of these platforms that you're watching live, answer this question. What has COVID-19 taught you about your business, whether it be property business or any other business, or whether you're in employment or whatever you may be? What has it taught you about you? Has it that you've needed an extra additional income stream? Is it that you need more cash flow? Is it that you're looking to build assets? You want to build more assets so that you've got this term called financial freedom? Are you looking to secure your family's future? How has this performed for you? Being in lockdown, have you figured out that you're struggling financially? Does that mean that you've got to put a different system in place so that when you do come out of COVID-19 and lockdown, that you're not going to have to go through these issues again? Have you decided that you're sick of working for someone else? Has working from home allowed you all the time and freedom so that you can start looking for other things to do? Are you going to make property pay for luxuries such as holidays, etc.? Are you going to help your kids get onto the property ladder? Are you going to create a pension plan? These are all the standard ones that are kind of here on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so someone, so Aaron has said that I thought that property is not as that I'm not as future-proof as I thought, and that's phenomenal response. No one is future-proof. You know, a lot of the businesses today have had to adapt to the new environment that they find themselves in. So that's a really interesting observation. Again, feel free to ask. Okay, so Ben says, hi Arsh, it's made people really rethink about what's important, their location, their life goals, etc. Absolutely, absolutely, and I completely agree with that. You never know what's around the corner in this life. So these are some of the answers that's coming in. Recession-proof revenue stream, looking for cash flow, main family security, more assets to have a second income. You should always have a contingency plan. So that's completely true, Sasha. So Jeff has said cash flow is king. Okay, so let's keep moving on. So how do you visualize success? Now, I'm going to say this is because, is it owning a certain amount of properties? Is it having the properties generate a certain amount of cash flow? Is it sourcing a certain amount of deals? Now, they're all great because visualizing success is great. The one question that I've got to ask you very simply is, how are you going to get there? And I always say, visualize what you're going to do, figure out how you're going to get there, but never forget the journey is more important than the destination. Does that kind of make sense? The journey is always more important than the destination. Now, I've got a goal that I'll share my goal with you. My life goal is that 11th of November 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Now, why is that date so important to me? It's important to me because on the 12th of November at midnight, I literally retire. And the reason why I say that, I set this goal out back in 2008 when I nearly went bust in 2008. I don't mind sharing that. Nearly went bust in 2008. As a result, I set myself a new goal. I reset the system, pretty much like what COVID-19 is going to do to a lot of people. I've been there. It's a scary place, but also if you search deep enough, you'll find a way that's going to dig you out of this. So Ash says, okay, interesting. You know, Ash said, Ash just put on the group, because what's this got to do with finding motivated sellers? Believe it or not, all this has got a lot to do with motivated sellers, Ash. So remember, patience is a virtue, my friend. So the journey is more important than destination. 12th of November, 2025, I retire. I'll be 45 on that day. And I said that on the 45th birthday, I will be completely debt-free. I've structured all my debt so that on the 12th of November 2025, I become completely debt-free. So that's my forward planning. I've set goals not only for the last, year in, year out, month in, month out, but I've set them, 15 years ahead, or 17 years ahead should it have been. So what is deal trading? I'm going to go through the basics of it. So if some of you aren't familiar with what deal trading is, it's a matchmaking service which matches investors to matching investors to property which homeowners have failed to sell. So you could say that in essence we're a glorified estate agent. We go and approach a vendor, we structure a deal with them, and then we try and find a buyer to buy the deal off us. So that, believe it or not, if we look at what estate agents do, they do exactly the same thing. Someone approaches them, say, can you sell my property? Off the back of that, they put it on Rightmove, they put it on Zoopla, they put it on the market, etc. And then a homeowner tries to buy it off them. So it's no more difficult than that. We don't need to make it difficult. We're a service to investors. So we're not selling to the homeowner market. If you're looking to buy a house to live in for yourself, I'm not the best person to speak to. I very much claim that out from the outset. We're a service to investors, which helps investors find properties which they would not have found without my help. And we're creating real win-win scenarios along the way. So John says, this is an interesting question. He goes, we are 50 plus. Can we do this, or is this for youngsters? Believe it or not, John, you can absolutely do this. Age is not a barrier. Age is definitely not a barrier. First thing that you're doing, you're using technology because you joined us on the webinar. So yes, you can do this. As long as you've got a mobile phone, as long as you've got a laptop or iPad or a tablet of some kind, then yes, you can do this. So my goals in 2019, I traded £54 million worth of property. So this is me as a one-man band selling deals to his selling deals to my database. £54 million worth of property. That's more than most estate agents would sell in a year. Now, going forward, 2020, I actually predicted that I was going to sell. No, not sell. Sell's the wrong word. Trade 1,000 properties. I was going to trade 1,000 properties. Now, that's a huge goal. But one of my biggest goals, I've got some phenomenal people joining me, by the way. I've got a life coach called Ross joining me. So, hi, Ross. I want to become the largest, well-known deal trader in the UK. I could probably say that I'm already that, but I'm refusing to do that. I want to become the right move version for property investment deals. I want to become Mr. Property Investor. That's a huge goal. That's what I was going to do. I've set my stall out. I've got the UK's first property investor app, and you can download it by searching property investor in the App Store. My other goals, personal goals, I went off and did Ironman in Oman, Muscat. I completed it, tick. I wanted to do Ironman UK Bolton, which is a full Ironman. But unfortunately, that was due to take place in July the 12th, cancelled, unfortunately. I'm looking to try and do that before November this year. The reason being is because I turned 40 in November, and I wanted to do it before I hit 40. So I'm putting contingency things in place. Okay, so let's keep moving on. Okay, so Rimmel says, if you're acting as an estate agent, do you require the same licenses as a trader? Absolutely. So you're governed by the same legislation, the Estate Agency Act. So you do need to be compliant, but very easy to do, believe it or not. It's just a few websites that you've got to go to. I'll go through the principles of deal trading, then we're going to go straight into it. How are we going to find motivated sellers? So first of all, there's three people involved. Now, you've got the vendor, you've got the purchaser. So the vendor is the person selling the property. They're the homeowner. They're the person that needs to sell their property. On the far right-hand side, you've got the purchaser. The purchaser is the investor who's seen the opportunity, who's looking for opportunities. Now, the person who's the most important in this whole transaction is you, the deal sourcer, the deal trader, the deal packager, the deal negotiator. Call yourself whatever you want to call yourself, the agent, whatever you want to call yourself. You're the most important person, because without you, the vendor's not going to sell their property. Without you, the investor's not going to know about this property. So you're going to put it all together. You're going to package it. You're going to source it. You're going to negotiate it. You're going to get it all together. You're going to charge a fee as a result of that. Whether you charge the purchaser or whether you charge the seller. So traditionally, estate agents have charged the seller. I charge the buyer. The reason why I charge the buyer, is because it allows me to get more deals onto the app. If I was to say, guys, okay, I want to try and sell your property, I'm going to charge 1% like an estate agent does, that makes me no different to an estate agent. Does that make sense? Makes me no different to an estate agent, and they might as well go and put it on the market with, a large estate agency chain. I'm not about that. I'll say, guys, I'll sell your property for free. The buyer, if you want it, you've got to pay me a fee. It really is as simple as that. Are you following me so far? Give me a quick thumbs up if you're watching me on socials. Give me a quick thumbs up if you're watching me on the webinar. Just give me a quick yes. Okay. I want to make sure that you stay with me here, because we're going to go at quite a pace, because we've got lots of content to fill in. So with the vendor, I'm going to ask you a question now. Have you ever tried to sell your house? Have you ever been in a position where you need to sell your property? Again, give me a quick thumbs up, yes or no, or even better, yes, yes, yes. Okay, great. Have you ever been in a position where you wanted to sell your house? And the reason why I say that is because at some point you will become motivated to sell. You will have to become motivated to sell. So as a deal sourcer, We need to figure out where is the pain and what is the motivation. Are you looking to upscale? Are you looking to downscale? Are you looking to, have you got financial difficulties? Have you got marital breakups? Have you got family issues? Are you looking to move abroad? Are you emigrating? These are all different angles. Just because someone's selling their property doesn't mean that they've got financial pain. Financial pain is probably one of the least reasons for someone to sell their property. There's so many different solutions for them for financial pain. It's all the other pains that they can't, that they can't deal with. Give you an example. Mr. and Mrs. decided to divorce. The house is the only thing that's keeping them together. So what do? They sell it. Now, naturally, if the house is the only thing that's keeping them together, they'll sell that as quickly as possible. And I've seen this time and time and time again. Okay, so let's keep moving on. Right. We've got so many questions coming in, so many questions. I will answer them. Now, I'm going to tell you about why I love deal trading the most. First of all, I see all the deals, the best deals first. That means that, I've become a deal trader because I wanted to see more deals. When a deal comes in, I decide, is it for me or is it not for me? And I say yes or no to them. As a deal trader, there's no tenants, there's no maintenance, there's no bank borrowings, there's no, it's 100% hands-free investing. You're not tying up any money. You can deal with any property in any town, in any city or any country. Now, the reason why I say that is because, let's just use an example of an estate agent. Estate agent can only work within their parameters, especially if they're franchisee or they're large chain like Connells, your Moves, your Reeds Rains, etc. Reeds Rains Wolverhampton cannot go and deal with a property in Leeds. Connells in Birmingham cannot come and deal with a property in Stoke. It doesn't work like that. Some of the independents can, but they won't, just purely because of the logistics of geography, etc. So in that respect, as a deal trader, one day I could be looking at a property in Birmingham. Tomorrow I could be looking at a property in London. The day after I could be looking at a property in Swansea, Peterborough, Grimsby, you name it. I've pretty much traded a property in every city in the UK. Can be done anywhere around the world, and the reason why I say that is because when I was in Oman in February doing the Ironman, I was still trading properties. I had my laptop with me, I had my mobile phone, I set up a VoIP phone system so that it's not costing me anything because it's all done over the internet, and I was speaking to vendors from Oman, and I was calling off a landline, which was an 01902 landline, which was a Wolverhampton landline. They didn't know that I was in Oman. They didn't know that I was in Saudi Arabia about to do an Ironman. But what they did know is that I was going to do a deal with them on the phone right there and then. Sourcing does not have to stop at property. Provided that you become good at it, you can do pretty much source almost anything. So, okay. Also, no solicitors, no surveyors, no refurbishment costs, and no builders, no contracts. 4 pains in the backsides. Don't need any of that. You free up your time. You become more free. You can do it off your mobile phone. And the beautiful thing, no risk. You don't own anything, so therefore there's nothing that can go wrong. Okay, lots of questions. So Sasha's asked a question about how do you source property if you're not in the area? How if you can't view them? Believe it or not, Sasha, there's actually agents out there that you can employ to actually start actually viewing the properties for you. So we'll go on to that shortly. So guys, I'll tell you what, now is the perfect time. We've been online for approximately 25 minutes. If you're watching on Instagram, if you're watching on Facebook, now's the time, unfortunately, to say bye-bye. If you want to watch the full session, you have to jump onto the webinar. So if you haven't got the link, it's bit.ly, bit.ly/BMV, BMV in capitals and sellers with a capital S. So join us on the session, and I will see you all very soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Right, guys, brilliant. So we're just on the webinar now. Thanks for sticking with me. So we've got lots of questions coming in. Lots of questions coming in. Right. Now, 2020, with COVID, I have to come up with new new predictions, because as of I said that 2020 was going to be the year. I completely agree that this is going to be the year. Commercial to residential is going to be absolutely huge, and the reason why I say that is because many companies will choose employees to work from home. Retail will continue to decline. Many businesses will sadly not survive from this period. There'll be a huge demand for affordable rental accommodation following a huge number of divorces following lockdown. It's sad. Unfortunately, these are all negative statistics, but they are also true. Commercial landlords will not be able to afford to have large empty buildings, so therefore they'll have to simply offload or sell them or potentially convert them. Now, here's an interesting one. Local authorities will be unable to realise the revenues in commercial rates because lots of companies will have gone bust, etc. But will still continue and will have to continue to relax planning legislation to recoup revenue through residential council tax. So you can see the benefits. You can see the benefits of it. So let's get straight into it. How are we going to find these BMV deals? How are we going to find the BMV sellers? So one thing I should say is, can you still see me on camera, by the way? I'm messing with it, but I can't actually see if I can see myself. So can you give me a quick yes or no? Okay, so you can. Brilliant. Okay, thank you. Right, let's get straight into it. Direct to vendor methods. Now, just so that you know, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Marketing, there is no right or wrong way to conduct marketing. It's all about what you're comfortable with. The reason why I say that is because you may not know it, but you're being marketed to every second of your life. When you pick up your phone, when you look at Facebook, seeing all the adverts. When you're watching TV, you're seeing adverts. When you open the newspaper, you're seeing adverts. When you're clicking on a website, you're seeing an advert. When you're going on to when you're opening a magazine, you're seeing an advert. When you open your post, you're seeing an advert. When you're driving down the street, you're seeing an advert. When you walk into the supermarket, you're seeing an advert. So what you've got to do is be in a position where you get yourself, you've got to get yourself in a position where you're putting yourself in front of the vendors' faces. Now, one thing I will say is that, does everyone know about land registry or not? I just want to know that whether I'm going to be teaching you to suck eggs or not. If you don't know about land registry and you want me to go through that method, okay, right. So believe it or not, direct to vendor method. So first of all, you could see a house for sale. Let's just say number 1 ABC Street. Now, there's nothing stopping you from going onto land registry website and literally finding the owner's details of land registry. It costs £3 to do this, but just bear in mind that £3 you're going to have to pay for £3. Then you're going to have to write a letter, or whether you're going to have to approach them directly. Sorry, when I say approach them directly, you go to land registry, you type in the full address. So let's say number 1 ABC Street, and let's just say WV39PU. So that's the postcode. So you need the postcode, you need the house number, you need the street name. You go to land registry and literally you type in, you put in the address, and as a result, you pay £3. It will give you a land registry document. And just to give you an example, I did one recently, and it's, believe it or not, I hope it's still on my desktop. So yeah, in my PDF doc. So here we go, land registry. So here's a document, and I've seen this property. It's been vacant for about 15 years, and literally it says the registered owner is. So I paid £3 for this. You go down, and it tells you who the owner is. The proprietor is that person there. So straight away, it's showing you who the person is. So the property address is this. No one lives in it. It's completely vacant. I went onto land registry, and it tells me that the person that owns this property is this person, and they live in Suffolk. The property in Wolverhampton. They live in Suffolk. I've approached them, and I'll show you the different ways that I've approached them. So far, just let me know that you're enjoying the content. That would be good. If you've got any questions, feel free to keep asking away. Okay, so Matalinda says, how do you know no one lives in it? Believe it or not, that's a property that I actually walked past. Okay, so there's a name there. So let's keep moving on. So someone says, can't see your screen. Can you all see my screen okay? You should be able to see my screen. Can you see, did you see the land registry? Okay, so if you're not, okay, brilliant. If you're not, you may just need to log out, log back in, but you should be able to see my slides. Okay. Sorry, I'm asking lots of questions. Okay, so there is in the land registry document, you get the owner's name, you get the owner's, you don't get their phone number, you only get their name and their address. So what you can do now is start writing them a letter. So, hi guys, I appreciate that you own this house, and I've been walking past it for the last 10 years. I understand that it's completely vacant. Have you got any intentions to sell this property, or is there a reason why it's been vacant for so long? I'd love to discuss the opportunity with you. If you'd like to call me, please, you can call me anytime, and I'll put my mobile number on there. And alternatively, what you could do, so you could send that out as a letter. The alternative is that you could find them on places like Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and Twitter. So I've located them on LinkedIn as well. And as a result, I've sent them a message. I only did that a couple of days ago, so I'm waiting a response. If not, I will send them the letter. So land registry and sending them direct letters, believe it or not, these are still very active. And you could do this for every property for sale, which is listed on Rightmove and Zoopla. Now, the reason why you could do that is you're going direct to the owner. The alternative option is that you go directly to the agent that's marketing the property. Now, just so you know, the property that I'm talking about, the property that I'm talking about is not on with an estate agent, so I have to go directly to the vendor. Okay, so letter goes to the address, but no one's living there. Now, Vinu Gopal, the letter that you're writing to is to the person that lives at that address. So if it's the same address as the property, then that person lives there. That's their residential address. The property that I'm talking about, no one lives there, so I'm writing to them in a property where we believe they live. And you can find out, you know, if you do some research on places like LinkedIn, etc., you can do a trail of that person. You become almost like an investigator. It takes literally no more than half an hour to find a vendor online. There'll be some form of digital print of that person online. I don't do letters anymore. Believe it or not, I don't even do leafleting anymore. But I'll tell you about how it's still a good strategy because it still works. Now, the letters, they cost approximately £5 per letter to produce. So that's £3 to land registry, stamp, envelope, piece of paper, and ink. So when you work it out as working costs, capital costs, it's £5 per letter. So that may restrict you as to how many deals you do, because are you going to put out 100 letters costing you £500? You can do leafleting, and now leafleting is where you literally get a whole area, let's just say the whole of Wolverhampton, you get a map. And so the way that I draw maps in Rightmove, believe it or not, I have a look at areas which have got the most properties for sale, and I blanket the whole area. I send out 100,000 leaflets all in one go. The leaflets aren't that expensive to produce. You can get, you know, 100,000 leaflets for a couple £100. You can pay someone, you know, £35 to £50 to can go and get them distributed. So it's £35 per thousand. So if you're doing 100,000, just bear that in mind as a marketing cost. It costs you £3.5 grand. But bear in mind, you only need one deal. The success rate, or the rate of people contacting you, is approximately 1 to 2%. So out of 100,000, you like to think you're going to get 1,000 responses. But out of that 1,000 responses, you just then start to go through. And the one thing that I'm going to show you is how to monetize every lead. So everyone that comes through, you're going to be able to do that. Now, one of the big things of this, we're in this millennial period where we all spend lots of time on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn and, you know, all the different methods of people becoming social. Digital marketing is a huge opportunity, and by using things like Facebook ads, you can actually target people who are in financial difficulty. So Facebook have got this phenomenal algorithm where you can target people who have searched, who have searched that they're in financial difficulty, and these adverts will now start to fall in their line, in their eye line, which means that you've got a higher chance of them clicking your advert. So you pay Facebook, and you can charge. You can decide whether you're going to spend £10 a day, £5 a day, £1 a day, because the more you spend, the more people it's going to get you in front of. And it's not a massive cost, but it works extremely well. I did an advert recently for, believe it or not, it's completely unrelated, or a radio company that said that they wanted more listeners. And I was just doing it because it's a friend of mine, it's a community radio station. And what I did is I did an advert where I put it in front of, it's a Muslim, believe it or not, it's a Muslim radio station. It's called Ramadan Wolves Radio, Ramadan Radio Wolves, and they wanted more Muslim listeners. So I did a Facebook campaign where I spent £70, and in £70, it actually got them in front of, I think, 20,000 to 40,000 people who are Muslim, who've got an interest in Muslim activities like listening to the Quran, who pray, who go to Mecca, and all those things. And they saw a phenomenal success rate. So you don't just do this just for property, you can do this for all kinds of things. So digital marketing is phenomenal. So you could put in there things to do with divorce, you could things to do with motivation. When we say motivation is quite a massive area. You could put in there divorce, you could put in seeking financial help, you could see selling your home. Believe it or not, Facebook's even got a marketplace for people selling their properties as well. So these are all different methods that you could be looking, putting yourself in places. So I'll come back to your question in a second, Matilda, because she's asked a question. I'm actually going to answer it shortly. So digitally, you can spend a lot less money and get in front of a lot more people. Now, just to give you an example, £70 that I spent on the marketing ad for that radio company, for that radio station, £70. Now, in equivalent to letters, that is equivalent to 14 letters, which means that I would only write to 14 people, whereas £70 got me in front of 30 to 40,000 people. So that's why I'm saying embrace the digital age. So I'll come back to a few more questions. So James says, did you do a Facebook course? I've never done a Facebook course. I'd love to do a Facebook course because I'm always intrigued on it. So I don't do Facebook course and stuff, but what I do is I've done a lot of research on it, and it's very simple to do. So keep moving on. Other direct methods. So social media, believe it or not, there's so many groups. There's so many groups on social media. So you've got the BMV group, you've got the All About Property group, you've got the HMO group. And if you don't want to do any direct, if you don't want to actually start doing any direct to vendor deals, you can do this thing called co-sourcing as well. Co-sourcing is where you're almost like piggybacking off someone else's deal. Someone's got a deal, they may have the deal, but they don't have the buyers. You may have the buyers, but you don't have the deal. So guess what? You co-source together and you put them out there. I co-source pretty much daily. So I'm doing direct to vendor, I'm co-sourcing, I'm training mentees out to go out and find deals themselves. I'm trying to get myself in front of as many deals as possible. I'm dealing with agents direct, I'm dealing with auction houses, I'm dealing with architects, I'm dealing with, I'm co-sourcing with some of the professionals like estate agents, solicitors, accountants, architects. I'm co-sourcing with all these guys as well, not just property people, because these are all people that bring in properties into my funnel. And this is what I think you should be doing. I'll talk to you shortly about not becoming a one-trick pony. Don't just put all your eggs into, I'm going to do a Facebook advert. Don't put all your eggs into, I'm just going to send out some letters. Don't put all your efforts into just sending out some leaflets. You've got to be doing it collectively. And that's why marketing, if you embrace it, you can have deals coming in at every angle. And I firmly believe that. So James says, as he says, hedge your bets. Okay, So Matilda says, are auction houses worth it? Absolutely. You've got to remember, when I look at something, Matilda, I look at the motivation behind it. And not only that, I also look at the psychology behind it. So let's look at, this is going completely off track, by the way. Auction houses, they've got exactly the right stock that I'm after. They've got motivated sellers because they're putting it into an auction. Some of the houses are, in need of some love, attention, and care. TLC, tender love and care, should I say. The properties need to move quickly. They're already below market value. Why wouldn't I use them? So you've got to look at the motivation behind the people. And you've got to have a look at the motivation and the pain. So you could co-source just by going on social media and saying, guys, okay, and one of my mentees, believe it or not, a lady called Mary, she actually came to me on Friday and she goes, Arsh, I need to find a deal quickly. She goes, COVID's kind of hurt me. I need to find a deal. I pointed in the direction of social media. She's got a deal bubbling now off the back of that. She's co-sourcing with someone on a 4-bed HMO in Liverpool. And I think we're going to put that out on the platform tomorrow. You can send letters out to houses with boards outside that we talked about. There are lots of networking meetings. Now, just so you know, networking meetings have become more and more popular, especially in COVID-19, because all the meetings are online. So there, now, you don't have to collect business cards. You can actually connect with them socially online. How cool is that? Property forums. You've got the RLA, you've got the NLA who have now merged. You go to all their property forums. You're going to be in contact with property owners. Leaflets, we talked about blanketing the whole area. You could look at segments. Now, segments is an interesting one because have you ever noticed? So, actually, take that one step back. We don't need to do the hard work when we look at the supermarket segments because the supermarket companies have already done this for us. Now, why do you think Waitrose will put a supermarket in a place where it may be slightly deprived? Answer this question, by the way. Answer this question. Do you think Waitrose will put their property in, they will put their supermarket in an area which is socially deprived? What kind of supermarkets do you think you will find in areas which are slightly deprived or socially deprived? So Andrew straight away has come in and says, Mr. Patel's Corner Shop, Aldi, Lidl, Budgeons, Aldi, Lidl. So straight away, so if you're looking for cheap properties, you've got to go for areas where you can identify the Aldis, the Lidls, etc. If you're looking for slightly better properties, you start looking for areas like your Tesco's, your Tesco's, your Sainsbury's, and your Waitrose. So the segments are already created. You don't have to do anything. If you're looking to try and source HMOs, you don't try. You look around universities. You know, if you pinpoint a university, let's just say Stoke University, within a mile radius, you've got pretty much hundreds of HMOs that you could target. This is not hard stuff. Yeah, I'm not teaching you, anything brand new there. Literally. A case, sorry, there's a question that just come in, says, how do you something, and I accidentally deleted it. They're coming in thick and fast. So I'm trying to get through them as quickly as possible as well. So what's your preferred method? Now, there's no preferred method, believe it or not. I do all of them. I spend a day on each of them. So one day I'll spend on sourcing HMOs, the other day I'll spend on looking at the supermarket segment, next day I'll look at spending on co-sourcing. And this is a beautiful thing about sourcing. You've got so many different methods that you don't need to put your eggs in one basket. And believe it or not, if you find a property, let's say direct to vendor, and you don't know much about it, all the information that you'll know is online. So at some point, it may have been on Rightmove, Zoopla, on the market. If you want to go direct to vendor, you go to places like Spare Room, Open Rent, and Gumtree. So the first three are agents, and whether you want to find floor plans or other pictures or comparables about properties. The other three are where you go direct to vendor. This is very, believe it or not, very easy to do. Very, very easy to do. You've got to have a look at estate agents. Estate agents this year have gone through an absolute battering. Never before have they been told to shut their offices immediately. So Property Mark told all the agents that they have to shut their offices immediately and they're not considered an essential business. They've been shut for approximately 8 weeks. Therefore, you've got to have a look at, going back to the psychology again, how do they make money? They only make money if the property sells. Therefore, if they're shut, can they do that? They've lost lots of fees because they couldn't do any viewings and therefore they've not generated any sales. Now, as of tomorrow, I believe that the opportunity exists immediately. That you should be on the phones to agents and say, guys, okay, I appreciate that you've been shut for 8 weeks. Let's get you up and running again. Let's get some offers in so that the vendors don't start to lose interest and start looking elsewhere. Does that make sense? So one of the webinars that I'm going to be running, with my mentees tomorrow is going to be, guys, okay, let's get on the phones to agents. Let's get on them immediately because agents want to start generating commissions. Agents want to please their clients. The only way you're going to do that is if we pick up the phone to them and say, guys, okay, the opportunity exists now. The quicker you can get out the blocks with this, the more success you're going to get. We've got lots of uncertainty in the market. So straight away, we've got what's going to happen with property prices. Are they going to decrease? They're definitely not going to go up. So are they going to come down? If so, by how much? Is it 10%? Is it 20%? Is it as far as 30%? We've got the introduction of Section 24 as well, where landlords can no longer claim their their mortgage interest relief against the mortgage. Will they interest rates at the moment? They're at an all-time low. The government is throwing money at us as businesses. They're throwing money at us. They gave us the get back up loan, the BBL, business backup loan. They've given us the grants. They've given us the interest rates. What else can they give us? Some point, this all has to be paid for. This will all have to be paid for. Then we have to have a look at the economy. How long will it take for the UK to adjust after leaving from Brexit? What was it? How will we deal after Corona? Businesses will be desperate to start again. As I said, some businesses will not survive. And unfortunately, that's a casualty of COVID-19. In good markets, the good thing, one of the best things about deal trading is you get 3 different segments. You've got the boom, the bust, and the person that adapts. The boom is when the sellers are in control because they can dictate the prices that they want because their property price is always increasing. The bust is when the buyer's in control, and that's where we're going to be now. The buyers are in control as properties struggle to sell. And you literally adjust your pricing according to the economic climate. Does that kind of make sense? You're not doing anything ordinary, anything there. Sorry, I've just lost my panel. I'm going to have to quickly go back to that just to make sure we get all the answers, all the questions. We've got so many. Sorry, yeah, it's BBL backland. So we've got so many questions coming in. I will get back to them. There's no longer the need to be a one-trick pony. Now, one of the questions that Matalinda asked is that, how do you differentiate between what you do? Now, the one thing I would say is that as a deal trader, you need to be in a position where you understand all the strategies so that every opportunity you're able to monetize. You look at every property and apply a strategy which works best for the owner and the purchaser. So is it a below market value deal? Is it a full market value deal? Is it a rent-to-rent opportunity? Is it a lease option deal? Can you do an assisted sale of it? Can you do an exchange and delay completion? Can you almost go off and get planning on it and then realize the capital gain? You've got to learn how to monetize, learn the different ways to monetize the deal. Is it literally simply sell the lead, where you may sell it for like 25 to 30 pounds? Are you going to source, package and sell the deal where you're going to make approximately between £3,000 and £5,000 per deal? Are you going to look to try? So here I've got an example that I've got a property deal that is cooking in Essex. We've agreed a deal with the vendor at 320. We've then gone and sold the deal at 360. So what we've done, we've gone and got an option on the property, and we're going to sell it to the investor at 360. Means that we're going to make £40,000 for that deal. You could instantly just, if you wanted to, sell it via an auction, and the auction company pays you a percentage. And I'm in talks with one of the UK's largest auction companies where we can do that. And that's what's considered an assisted sale method. So these are all the ways that you can monetize leads. So there's, believe it or not, there's no risk to any of these because you don't own it. Therefore, all you do, there's nothing that can go wrong. Worst case scenario, the property doesn't sell, and you say to the owner, okay, we need to either renegotiate or restructure the deal. And because they're in this position where they really haven't got many choices right now, estate agents are going to struggle to shift deals. You know, they're going to see a massive decline in the amount of inquiries that they get, or if they do get offers, they're going to be way below market value, that the vendors are going to be motivated to do some kind of deal. So, okay, James says, what's to stop the vendor and the buyer dealing direct? Just so that you know, there's lots of contracts that you put in place with an option, provided that you put in things like RX1s, which is a restriction which you can lodge at a land registry, and it costs you approximately £38. You could literally restrict it so that the vendor can't do anything with that property without your consent. There's lots of things. Okay, so let's keep moving on. Lots of questions coming in. Sorry. The one thing I will say is that no transactions will be the same. No situations will be the same. So this is why I say you've got to get yourself in a position where you understand all the strategies and apply the best one which works for the owner and the purchaser. And the one thing I say is that the most strategic of people will be the most successful. If you're only looking for 25% below market value deals, you're only going to get a very small segment of the market. If you're a person that becomes receptive to, okay, I couldn't get it at 25%, could I structure it in a different way where we can still create that win-win? They're the people that are going to be the most successful. And I say that from the outset. So I'm going to talk to you about one property deal right now. So there's a couple called Colin and Angie Leslie. They're actually based in the Highlands in Scotland. These guys actually joined the EPT, which is the Elite Property Tribe, back a couple of years ago in June 17, with little to no knowledge of property investing, certainly no knowledge of deal sourcing. So they came on the EPT, they joined the weekly webinars, and they learned so much about property investing. One thing that I said, I like reading this, is that Arsh is the real deal, and we're so proud to call him our mentor. As he always says, property is a marathon, not a sprint. I will say that again. Property is a marathon, not a sprint. For those that want to try and do it for month one, they will go out and give it their all for month one, and they will burn out by month two. You have to go out there for the duration, knowing that you're out there for a few years. Now, this is one of the deals that Colin sourced. A property in Cornwall. Now, Colin's based in Scotland. The property is down in Cornwall, so it couldn't have got any further away. So, believe it or not, when Colin approached me with this, he found this property. I think it was either on eBay or Gumtree. So this property, the vendor was actually abroad. He put it on Gumtree, he put it on eBay, one of the sites, and Colin approached him and he goes, the vendor was prepared to sell it on a below market value deal. Colin approached me about it. We looked at all the options, we looked at what the pain and what the motivation was. And I said to Colin that there's probably a better way that we could structure this deal. And so what we looked at is, how can we structure this deal where it works as a win-win scenario? With this one, the vendor actually lives abroad. So we structured it as a lease option deal. So we've created a 10-year rent to rent with the option to purchase. We've got a 6-month rent-free period. And I actually took this property on myself. I've always liked the thought of having a second property very close to the beach and the seaside. This property literally ticks that box. Well, means if you want to have a look at it, we've actually got this now. It's called tincroftcottage.co.uk. You can go and have a look at the website. So and we're actually taking bookings for July onwards. So it initially was offered as a B&B deal. We then structured it as a lease option. And as a result of that, Colin made himself a nice fee from simply doing that. Now, lady in the right-hand corner of his screen now is actually my wife. Now, I call this women in property because one of the biggest things that we found about women in property is the fact that lots of women that are in full-time occupations struggle to make that transition of full-time occupation to full-time in property. And I tested that model with someone who would have been extremely difficult to do, and that's my wife. She's a former deputy head teacher on a very good wage. She was also a full-time mom of two children, my two children. She had no property experience, and I managed to get her to replace her income with 2 properties. She brought back time to enjoy life, and she now enjoys flexible working hours. Here's a property that she took on where she went direct to the owner. There's a 6-bed HMO with a 1-bedroom flat behind. It was vacant for 3 years. It was actually listed with an estate agent for sale at £250,000. We went direct to the vendor because the agent was not communicating with us. We agreed a 3-month rent-free period. We agreed the 7-year rent-to-rent deal with the option to purchase. And that property is now actually fully occupied. And here's the rents that it achieves. We've done it out almost like a show home. So we've tested this model where we do the property up to an immaculate standard, but we've actually hit the ceiling on a lot of the room rents. So it's actually generating £2,925 a month. So the cost, including the rent, etc., comes out to £1,000, means that we're making just under £1,900 a month per annum. And this is one that Shireen sourced and then did all the work to it and then put it back in. And now that's £2,000 there. She's making approximately £2,000 a month off the holiday let in Cornwall. That's now generated approximately £4,000, which is equivalent to the best part of £50,000 a year cash flow, which has replaced her income. That's just 2 properties that she's done that with. So, want more case studies? Believe it or not, you can go to the Property Investor app. Literally, you can go to the App Store, type in Property Investor, or you can go to propertyinvestorapp.co.uk, and you can see all the other deals that we source. And this will give you an indication of the kind of deals that we're after as well. So these are some of the deals that are on there. Again, have a look at it. Now, moving on, marching forward towards a fruitful 2020. And the reason why I say that is because I'm looking for people that I can train to become the most prolific deal sources in the country. I want to train people to become an all-rounded property investor by understanding every strategy that we discussed. Below market value deals, full market value deals, rent-to-rent deals, lease option deals, assisted sales, exchange and delay completions, planning gains, commercial to residential, service to accommodation, just to name a few. So I want to teach you how to get all these deals. I'm running a 52-week online training program. And also, as a result of the 52-week online training program, I'm going to give you an example of how this guy, Jay Uday, came into the office within 1 day and sourced 2 deals. So Jay is the guy in the top right-hand corner. This guy here, he came to the office, he had no property experience, he had no money to invest. He's one of the new CPT members and is also a full-time teacher. And within 1 day, he successfully negotiated 2 HMO deals where he sourced, packaged and sold them, offered them to my investors and made £10,000 in fees. Now, I'm going to give you another live example. Okay, so there's lots of questions coming in. So Robert has asked a question about what happens if there's exchange Robert's asked a question about exclusivity. Okay, so this guy in your screen here is a phenomenal guy, because he came to me. I've known this guy a long time because he's based in Wolverhampton. We went to the same school together, and he goes, Arsh, he goes, I've been watching what you're doing for quite a few years. He goes, I want to try and break my teeth into property. And I go, okay, cool, fine with that. So Temel is a young guy. He's 30, I think he's 35 years old, 35 or 37 years old. He's very busy running a successful signage company, so he's got no property experience whatsoever. He started joining the EPT and sourcing deals in 2019. Now, guys, one thing I will say to you, stick with me, because his deals are phenomenal. So with Arsh's guidance to use his techniques, I've seen fantastic results. In the space of 6 months, I've successfully sourced and sold 4 deals, along with taking on several rent-to-rent deals myself. Now, remember what I said about when you put yourself in front of the opportunities, are you going to keep them or are you going to sell them? He's decided to keep some. He's decided to sell some. Now, he goes on to say that Arsh is a wealth of knowledge, blah, and, you know, Arsh is a great guy, etc. It's not about me. It's all about this guy, because he's done it. I've just shown him what to do. I've given him the guidance as to here's what you need to do, here's how you go off and do it, and here's how you approach them. Now go and do it. A unique training program platform which will help you achieve the success you want. So deal number 1 was the 6-bed HMO in Hull. I believe this was Glencoe Street in Hull, fully tenanted and income producing HMO, which was sourced by an estate agent on Rightmove. The agent failed to sell it. Turmoil was their best way of selling this property. It took him approximately 1.5 to 2 hours to source, analyse, call the agent, get the exclusivity, package it up and sell. And we sold it to Arsh's database within 7 days, and we charged a 4K fee to the investor. And he says, considering that I've never physically viewed the property and charged the 4K fee, is fantastic for a couple of hours work. Wouldn't you agree? Now, just so you know, Turmoil did not visit the property. He got the agent to do all the work. They supplied him with the pictures. They supplied him with the floor plans. They did all the viewings. And we sold it to my investor database, and we charged a 4K fee. And we did a 50-50 split on the fee. One of the reasons, and I'm very transparent about this, one of the reasons why I train people up is because then I want you to get deals, bring them back to me so we can have a look and we can sell them and we can split the fees. Now, the second one was a 5-bed HMO deal in Wolverhampton on a rent-to-rent basis. He goes, using Arsh's technique, I went direct to vendor, proposed a solution, managed to get a 3-year rent-to-rent deal agreed. And this property now returns approximately £550 to £600 a month cash flow. He's kept that for himself. There's nothing wrong with keeping the deals yourself. Deal number 3, rent-to-rent service accommodation deal, 2-bedroom apartment in Birmingham city centre. Again, he went direct to vendor, and he's now kept that for himself, approximately £500 to £600 a month. Deal number 4, a lease option deal. So can you see that he's utilising all the strategies? Below market value, HMO, rent-to-rent, rent-to-rent service accommodation, HMO lease option. A 7-bed HMO in Stoke, fully tenanted and income producing. This one was sourced direct to the owner. He never viewed it. All the pictures were provided by the owner. And the sale was agreed with 1 day through Arsh's investor database. We charged 5K for that deal. Another one, deal number 6, 5-bed HMO in Bridgewater. Remember, Turmoil is based in Wolverhampton. He's not viewed any of these properties. So far he's done a deal in Hull, he's done a deal in Wolverhampton, Birmingham, Stoke, Bridgewater. He's got other deals going through the pipeline at the moment as well. 5-bed HMO in Bridgewater, fully tenanted. So for those that don't know who Bridgewater or where Bridgewater is, right down pretty much on the south coast. Fully tenanted and income producing, sourced via an estate agent on Rightmove. Took 2 hours to source, analyse, call the agent, get exclusivity and package up. Sale agreed within 14 days to Arsh's database. We charged 5K for that deal. Okay, so Rimmels asked a question about exclusivity. We'll come on to exclusivity shortly. Now, the reason why I say this is because I'm running a program called the Elite Property Tribe. We're going to kick off with the 30 Deals in 30 Days challenge, and I want everyone to be part of this. If you're looking to turn yourself into a property machine, we're going to start a day on, so I've done the wrong date, it's not Friday, it's 7th of Feb. We're going to do a day on the phones. The day is going to be confirmed. I want us to get out of lockdown so that I can get you all into Wolverhampton safely, so that I can get you to start making calls on the phone. And we're going to see how many deals come out of that. So what a day on the phones looks like is a day looking for deals, a day speaking with vendors and agents, a day appraising deals, a day calculating the returns on investments and yields, a day looking at the hotspots and looking at supply and demand, a day working in groups with fellow EPT members where you're surrounded by like-minded other members. And this is only available to EPT members. So this is all part of the Elite Property Tribe, which I'll come on to shortly. And if you want to know a little bit more about it, have a quick look at these links, which are at the bottom of the screen. So what the Elite Property Tribe is, it's a you get access to my network of professionals, you get access to my support, you get access to my knowledge and skill base, and it's pretty much, we run a webinar every Monday, which is delivered by me personally. So every Monday we run a webinar on all these different strategies. So she's teaching you how to source all the different types, how to go directly to the vendor, how to go directly to the agents, how to get exclusivity, which I'll talk to you about in a second, how to source it in a manner which the investor understands. So we have 52 webinars, we have 4 exclusive live meetups, plus you have the ability to come and spend the day with me in the office. So that's what's called a shadowing day, literally what Jay did. You come into the office, you spend the day with me where you sit opposite me, and I'll listen in on your phone calls. I'll understand what you're saying, what you're doing, and as a result of that, seeing how we can fine-tune you to become that better deal sourcing machine. So you've got the weekly webinars, you get help with negotiations and solving problems. You've got my personal mobile number, you've got the WhatsApp group, you've got the Facebook group, we've got the EPT Learning Journal, which is basically a document where you document everything that you're doing, all the calls that you're making, who you're speaking to, what's your action points, how you're gonna get in contact with them. What, have they said that you need to call them back in 2 days? Have you diarised it? You've got the platform which also hosts over 400 hours worth of recordings. So here's Derek out from the outside, literally confirming his goals from the outset. So what he wants to do, his intentions, goals, to become a well-rounded deal sourcer, source his first 2 to 3 deals by the end of Feb, work towards the average of 5 deals a month, earn 12K from deal sourcing, build his investor list, be consistent with his action, deal goals, learn to work with JVs and JV finance, because once you're in front of this, there's all the ways that you can do these. Now, this is EPT Learning Journal, where every week I want you to write down your intention and your goals. I'll give you a weekly accountability journal. So what is it that you've learned from the sessions? What do you need to do to bring this into your business? What were the desired outcomes from the program? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your limiting beliefs? These are the questions that I'm going to be asking of you. And like I said, it's a 52-week online program. And in that 52-week online program, we're going to be teaching you how to source all the different styles of property deals, how to look at HMO deals, how to source HMO deals, how to source rent-to-rent, how to source lease option, how to source service accommodation, how to start taking advantage of the opportunity now, how to get direct to vendor, how to deal with the agents, how to get all the affiliates with all the other training, with all the other companies. So the full cost of the training is £6,000. But however, I'm one of the very few people that will say you don't have to pay that up front. You pay 50% of that up front, which is £3,000, which can either be paid in 1 payment or 3 monthly payments. So there's a payment scheme for you if you need it. The other £3,000 is only applicable or payable if and when you've done deals, and you pay it in small chunks out of every deal that you've done. So you pay £500 out of one deal, £200 out of one deal. I'm not there to break you for the other £3,000. I'd rather you get yourself up and running and get deals done. One thing I will say is that we've got a phenomenal opportunity as of tomorrow. Do something today that your future self will thank you for. Get yourself in a position where you're going to be financially free. Get yourself in a position where you've got that time and that ability to become free. I could talk to you about testimonials all day long. There's Sandy, who became an EPT member 3 years ago. I gave a hands-on mentorship and guidance, as well as the supportive community, to learn both the soft and hard skills required to turn this around and become a successful HMO owner and a successful deal sourcer. That's allowed her to go off and do pursue other aspirations. We've got Christos, based in Milton Keynes. He sourced a number of deals himself, as well as bought a number of deals himself. And the reason why he joined the EPT is that he wanted his daughter to get started in property as well. We've got Priscilla, who's based in Wales, who wanted to become more confident in all the different property strategies. Okay, so sorry, should I say, as an elite property trial member, you can also leverage the name of the Property Investor app to negotiate deals with vendors and agents, and you become the go-to person in your area. So let's quickly, someone said, can you put the link back up? Okay, so there's the link right at the bottom of the screen. Now's the time to answer all the questions. So if there's any questions, ask away now. So I'll go back through some other questions. Oh my God, there's so many questions. Okay, so okay, so Melanie says, what happens if it comes up with the same address? How do you find the owner? So literally, if it's the same address on land registry site, that pretty much means it's the same person living in the property. James has asked a question, is it illegal to address the letter by the name, or is it better to address dear homeowner? Well, believe it or not, you can address it by their name. If you do it by homeowner, you're cold calling, which is illegal. Okay, so what if the property is listed with an estate agent? Would you still cover the cost? Still cost the vendor? Sorry. What if the property is listed with an estate agent? Would it still cost the vendor if they sold it through you? Now, one thing that you can do is you need to have a look at the estate agent's terms and conditions to see whether they're still within that condition or whether they're still in conditions. So Aaron has asked a question. So would you suggest 10,000 leaflets per month or 100,000 in one go? One thing I would say to you, Aaron, is that you can do it on the monthly, 10,000 a month, or you could do it in one hit. But one thing I would say is probably do it monthly. The reason being is that you've got to be consistent with your action. If you only send out one load of hits and you're expecting a load, remember, how many adverts do Nike put out? How many adverts do all the companies put out? They're doing it to stay in your face. You've got to do exactly the same. So don't just put out one hit and expect a million hits back. So let's just have a quick look. So let's quickly. How do you get your first time capital for your house you bought? Okay, I'll come back to that question in a second. If you're considering a lease option agreement, how would you convince an owner to wait 5 years for completion? So Craig, just so you know, you've got to structure it in a manner where it creates a win-win. Lease options are great strategies, but you've got to really see, does it fit the criteria of the vendor, and will it work for you as well? If the vendor needs the money today, the lease option strategy isn't going to work. If they can get away with having the monthly income and also delay completion, then that may also be a way around it. Alternatively, you offer them, instead of the full 25, you've got to figure out, I suppose one thing I should say is that with the lease option, you've got to understand the pain and motivation behind the person. Why do they need to sell? Is it something that they need the money for now, or will they be able? Can they work off the delay on that? So let's keep going. Okay, so Arama said, what does the contract look like when you use with a buyer? Okay, so the contract, we've got lots of terms of business where it says that if you try and circumvent us from the sale, we will sue the buyer. So you've got to make sure that you've got that in place. So Vino says, spare room is for renting. So how is it useful? Believe it or not, who are the people advertising their properties on there, Vino? Is it the agent or is it the estate agent? Is it the vendor? If it's a vendor, you direct contact with them there and then. Is deal sourcing in London any different than any other regions? Are there certain strategies that are better in London? Believe it or not, you call yourself ML. There's going to be so many opportunities in London. The reason being because the pain is so greater in London. The cost of living is so high in London. But yes, the wage level remains consistent across the UK. So therefore, you know, the cost of living is higher. So you're going to see more deals happen in London. I did a deal on Friday, which I'll put up on the app, which is just outside London, and we got a 32% discount on that. Abina says, with exchange and delay completion, do you still pay stamp duty before completion? No, stamp duty is paid upon completion, not exchange. You only pay 10% deposit on exchange. Are all your investors required to charge on the property in every case as security, or what are the arrangements can there be? So Andrew, just so you know, are all your investors requiring a charge on the property? So what are you talking about there, Andrew? Are you talking about deal sourcing? Because I don't know why you put a charge on the property. Are we talking about the restriction? There are other ways around the restriction. So Sasha says, what strategy would you suggest is the most productive in and around London? Remember, it's not about what strategy is most productive. Get your mind out of talking about strategy. Get your mind into understanding what is the pain and motivation. You're still going there with the one-trick pony. You're still trying to be that one-trick pony. Get your mind out of that. Get your mind into the point of saying, I'm going to get myself in front of as many vendors and agents as possible. Once I'm in front of that vendor, that's when I'm going to decide what strategy is the most effective for that situation. So I think you're thinking about it the wrong way around. Okay, so Manny says rent to rent is not sublease. Will the lenders allow that? Again, yes, they do, because we do it on a day-to-day basis. So Mathilda says, how do you know if the property is below market value? This is where your research comes into it. When your research comes into it, it goes into having a look at what you're looking at now. So using portals like Rightmove, Zoopla, speaking to estate agents, speaking to surveyors, speaking to chartered surveyors, so that you can get an indication as to what the values are, and then you'll be able to determine whether it's below market value. Okay, so Steve has asked a very valid question. Arsh, how do you secure an offer with an estate agent when they want proof of funds before passing on to offer to the vendor? Just so you know, Steve, when I approach estate agents, I'm saying to them, guys, I'm not your buyer. I don't proclaim to be your buyer. What I am, though, is the person that's going to find your buyer. Do you understand that? So the reason why I want to work with you is because I've got some investors that I believe may be interested in this opportunity. However, in order for me to put it in front of them, I need a level of exclusivity so that I do not get cut out of the equation. Do you understand the terminology that I'm using? Do you understand the reason why now the estate agent will understand what we're trying to do? Okay, so if you source a rent-to-rent deal but needs to use those living room as a bedroom, which makes 5 rooms equals a HMO, does this mean that the deal is only unencumbered houses, not mortgaged properties? Not necessarily. Again, understanding the situation behind the seller, understanding the mortgage that the person's got on it. Have they got a buy-to-let? Have they got a HMO mortgage on it? So Sasha said, okay, how do you structure your sourcing fee per deal, and how do you decide what to charge your investor? So just so you know, some depending on how you do it, I look at how much value I'm bringing to the deal. If I've got a 32% below market value deal, I'm not going to charge £1,000 for it. I'm going to want 5 to 10 grand for it, depending on how much is below market value. Because, you know, the vendor or the purchaser can't go off buying those deals. That's my strategy. That's what I bring to the table. You can charge 1 to 2%, but again, on a 100 grand house, and if it's worth 150 grand, then you've got a 30% discount. Are you going to charge £1,000 plus VAT? I wouldn't. I would charge, you know, a fee of 3 to 5 grand on it. Okay, so so Ken said, when you get an option on a property to sell via auction, how is the capital gains tax calculated? So just so you know, Ken, there will be a capital gains liability because you're achieving. So with assisted sale, or when you get an option, let's say you get the option on the property at 100,000 and you sell it for 130. There's a £30,000 gain there, so that you will pay some gains on that. So a capital gains on it. So that's unfortunately that's part and parcel of it. So let's keep moving on. Can you explain how a lease option works? Okay, so Raquel, with the lease option, it's exactly that. It's a lease with the option to purchase on it. So you rent the property off the landlord for the period that you've agreed, and within that period, you have the option to purchase that property at the price that you specified from the outset. So if you said that I'm going to rent it off you for £500 a month for the next 5 years, but within that 5 years, I'm going to buy it off you at, you know, let's say £100,000. Within that 5 years, you can buy it within the £100,000, and but in the meanwhile, you're going to be paying £500 a month. So that's it in a very basic form. So John says, hi Arsh, Wide and I are elite legacy students. Is there a course where you do not include legacy basic training but allow us to work with you, sourcing, learning without repeating the basic like numbers? Just so that you know, John, we go into some real in-depth stuff. So you'll learn you'll definitely learn a lot of things that the legacy guys have not touched on. Okay, so Anne says, is it a good time for lease option now? Absolutely, Anne. The reason being is that lots of people that bought their property like 2017, 2018 bought at the height of the market. They're now, if you look at the values of what's going to do today, and it's going to drop between 20 to 30%, they're now going to be in negative equity. These are the kind of deals that are going to be perfect for a lease option strategy. So Craig says, do you have investors who are interested in various different deals within Cornwall? Just so you know, Craig, I've got 113,000 investors. The best part of 120,000 investors in actual fact. So they're looking at properties all over the country. Excuse me, sorry, I'm fasting as well. So, as you may know, being a Muslim, we're in Ramadan, so if I do yawn, it's because I'm probably knackered, and also probably because I'm fasting as well. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so Steve says, currently what deals do investors want the most? Believe it or not, because I've got such a wide variety of a database, they want it all. They want below market value deals, they want rent-to-rent deals, they want lease option deals, they want HMO opportunities, they want commercial to residential deals, they want all kinds of them. Any other questions? Okay, so how much do you give agents if they work for you? We don't give estate agents anything if they work for us. Remember, the agents are making their money off the seller. We make our money off the buyer. It's a real win-win scenario. They've sold the property. In the eyes of the seller, in the eyes of the owner, the agent sold the property. They don't know who I am. I'm like the silent hero. The agent has taken all the praise for it. As far as the owner is concerned, it's the agent that sold it, not us. They don't know anything about us. So, okay, so someone's asked, is this session recorded? Yes, it is. Okay, so if someone brings me a deal, what's the split? It's a 50-50. It's a 50-50 basis. We work on a 50-50 basis. What's the best investment for cash flow with the least amount of money? Well, if you've got the least amount of money, you need to find strategic ways as to how to acquire property. So in that respect, it is deal sourcing, rent to rent, and lease options. Okay, so Stuart says, looking at your website, there are not many properties in the south. Is there a reason? Just it all depends on what deals come in and when. You know, we're not concentrating on a specific area. Okay, so how do you assess deals? Good, no, quick. Good deals, no deal. Good, quick around country, so no travel viewings. Just so you know, Ned, I managed to appraise a deal within 15 to 20 minutes. I don't want to spend any longer than 20 minutes on a deal because I don't know within that 20 minutes how good it is. I've seen people spend days on a deal, and I turn around to them and say, guys, I don't know what you're wasting your time for on this. Within 20 minutes, you should know whether it's a good deal or no deal. Okay, so Rizwan says, how much is the cost? So the cost of the workshop is you pay 3,000 up front. The other 3,000 is paid once you do deals. And then every deal that we do, we work on a 50-50 split basis. Okay, so right, Tejindra has asked a great question. He goes, Arsh, why would estate agents let me sell their property but not themselves? If it's a good property, they would have been motivated buyers already. I've had some of my potential tenants, ex-landlord, who are divorcing. I had the same with my potential tenants, ex-landlord, who are divorcing. Okay, so in that respect, remember, if you're going to an estate agent and say, guys, okay, I'm going to find you a buyer. I'm not charging you anything. I'm not costing you anything. And I'm going to find you a buyer. Do you think they're going to be happy with that? Of course they are, because they're not doing any work. All you're doing is putting your time and effort into a property that you don't own and you're going to be able to control, and you're going to sell it. If they would have sold it, it would have already had sold subject to contract on it. Does that make sense? So John says, how soon after signing up a course would you expect deals to be done? I'd like you to do a deal within your first month. However, this is all down to how much time you put into it, how receptive you are to the information that I said that I get you to do, how much time you put into the homework that I ask you to do. So, you know, pretty much you could have a deal within the space of a day. You've got 400 hours worth of content that you could watch before we start on the 1st of June. The first webinar is the 1st of June. However, in the meanwhile, you get access immediately to all the back catalogue of this 400 hours. So you could start watching that and start watching them and getting up to speed straight away. Hi, Arsh, can you speak more on monetizing deals? So you should monetize every deal. So every time you speak to an owner and you put together a deal, you put together a strategy for it, that deal then actually has a monetary value attached to it. Okay, so Ken says, you take deals off non-EPT members and split the fee 50-50. Yes, we do. Yeah, I'm not going to say that we don't, but we do. But I won't appraise your deal for you. So if you come to me, Ken, and you say, well, what do you think of this deal? I'll say, only come back to me once it's packaged. So Sasha says, how do you know if a deal is actually a deal? What are your parameters based on this? So we look at a number of things. We look at, is it below market value? Is it producing cash flow? Is there equity there? What's the return on investment? We look at the yield basis. We have a look at the standard and the quality of the asset. So there's a number of things that we look at when we're appraising an opportunity. And we should be able to add value in there somehow. So let's just have a quick look. So we've been on approximately for 90 minutes. So, okay, so Mohammed says, can you expand on how to package, please? When you speak to the vendor, you've got to be able to add some level of value. I'm going to say this from the outset. If you're thinking that you're going to go to an estate agent and you're going to say, guys, okay, you've got the house on the market for 100 grand. I'm going to sell it for 100 grand. I'm going to charge 3 grand fee for it. And it's listed there right in front of me on Rightmove. That's not a deal, guys. Because in actual fact, you're more expensive than the open market. What you need to do be able to put yourself in a position where you can add value to the deal, so that when an investor looks at it, they say, okay, I understand why he's charging £3 grand. I see a lot of deals that come through it. So John says, are deals possible in selective licensing areas? John, deals are possible in selective licensing areas. They're possible in Article 4 areas. They're possible with all kinds of areas. So Rajesh says, hi Arsh, does rent-to-rent still work in the current challenging economic climate? Absolutely. Rajesh, just so you know, I let a couple of rooms last week all remotely. So yes, it definitely does. More importantly, if an owner has had a property and they've had some rooms empty, they will realise that they've lost out on 2 months worth of rent. They're going to be more motivated to do a deal with you. Does that kind of make sense? So Mohammed has asked a question. He says, what insurance do I need to become total compliant? You need to become compliant because you need to be a member of the Property Redress Scheme. You need to be a member of the Information Commissions Officers, the ICO. You need to get some public and professional indemnity insurances, and you need to be a member of the anti-money laundering regulations. So they're the 4 things that you need to do to become completely compliant. It costs on average the best part of £500 to £600 to be fully compliant. So I suppose there we have it, guys. If you've got any questions, a lot of the questions that are coming through now are ones that we've already commented on throughout the session. So Raquel says, can you give me an example of an assisted sale? We've already kind of covered this, Raquel. So an example could be that you agree a deal with a vendor at £100,000. It's worth 130. You put the option on the property at 100. You go and sell it for 130 on the open market, whether you sell it through an agent, etc. And you realise the gain of that 30,000. That's an assisted sale. You could do it where if the property is in need of modernisation, you go in and you say, guys, okay, I appreciate you haven't got the money to do the work. You go in and do the work, and then you benefit from the uplift. So there are lots of ways that you can do that. Okay, so John has asked, he goes, Arsh, when we get a chance to have this session with you in the future, is it one-to-one or is it in a classroom setup with others? If you're on the shadow day, you come and spend the day with me. It's pretty much one-to-one, where you're sitting right opposite me. If it's the day on the phones, that will be a classroom style basis where we get all the EPT members in there. Yeah. So Rimmel says, do you manage rent-to-rent properties remotely? Yes, you can. So just so you know, the property that I've got down in Cornwall, I manage that remotely. And so a lot of the other properties you can manage remotely. So there we have it, guys. If you've got any questions, you can call me as of tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock in the office, on the office number there. If you've got a question that you want to ask me, feel free to email me at arsh@arshellahi.com. More than happy to ask any questions. Okay, so Zed has asked, he goes, hi Arsh, he goes, my question is, how do you get exclusivity if you approach the agents with the property already advertised on the web, but the potential buyer, once offered, tries to bypass you and goes direct to the agent without your knowledge? Ooh, okay, so what contract did you have with the buyer is my question, because you should have had some kind of document signed with the buyer to prevent that from happening. There should have been a document to say, if you do this, then I'm going to sue you for that. Alternatively, you should have had some funds on account from the buyer to prevent that from happening. Remember, the reason when I source a package and sell a deal, I get the buyer to pay my fee pretty much up front. And the reason why I do that is because then they're motivated to deal with me and me alone. Because they know that if they try and cut me out, they're gonna lose their money. So guys, on that note, I wish you all a great week ahead. It's going to be a phenomenal time. If you want to have a chat about the Elite Property Tribe, feel free to get in contact by calling me or even emailing me as well. and then let's see what we can do. So let's go from there. So on that note, guys, I wish you every success, and I will speak to you all very soon. Take care. Good night. God bless.